This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather. Hello there. It's Jeff Jordan. Welcome to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And the birthday boy for today, March the 30th, is it still is in the NFL somehow. He's a free agent, so technically anyone can sign him. He hasn't retired yet, but he's a Seattle Seahawk legend, part of the Legion of Boom defense that took care of Super Bowl business in 2014 and almost did it in 2015, but, Marshawn Lynch should have ran. Anyway, this guy is an icon for the Seahawks. I know he's played for San Francisco for several years, but he's still a Seahawks icon. He is Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman is now 35 years old. He was born in the tough part of LA called Compton. You've heard about it? So anyway, Richard Sherman was a star athlete and all that. Very good. He almost went to UCLA, but then he went to Stanford and would play for the Cardinals. The funny thing is, Richard Sherman actually started his first few years in college as a receiver, as a wide receiver. Bet you didn't know that. But yeah, he was a wide receiver for a few years in Stanford. And then he turned into a defensive back because of a knee injury. And he decided to switch to being a cornerback, like a defensive backfield. And he worked out well. He helped Stanford go 12-1 in the 2010 season, which was one of their best years ever. In fact, he graduated from Stanford with an undergraduate degree in communications, and then he went towards his master's degree. But one big thing about it is if you remember Stanford versus USC in 2007, the year of the upset, with all those upsets like App State over Michigan and all them, and the curse of being the number 2 team in the nation for several weeks. Stanford was a 40-point underdog to USC, and USC was the number 1 team. But somehow, in some way, Stanford won that game 24-23. And the big catch on 4th and 15 from the Stanford 31 or something like that was the pass from Pritchard to Richard Sherman. Yes, that Richard Sherman. He was a wide receiver. He caught that big play, and Stanford then scored that touchdown. Anyway, he took part in Pro Day. He looked pretty good. And then the Seattle Seahawks got him in the 5th round of the 2011 draft. So, yeah, he was a 5th round pick. And it was the 25th cornerback to be taken. Let me read you a list of corners that were taken before Richard Sherman. Patrick Peterson went 5th to Arizona. Big move. The Giants took Prince Amukamara from Nebraska, 19th overall. Baltimore took Jimmy Smith from Colorado, 27th overall. The New England Patriots took Raz-I Dowling from Virginia, 33rd. 34th was Aaron Williams, taken by Buffalo from the University of Texas. And San Diego taking Marcus Gilchrist from Clemson, 50th overall. Those were the cornerbacks in the top 50s. If you look down the list, it's like all these cornerbacks, they weren't really that big. That Jaleel Brown, Rashid Carmichael, Cordez Allen, Josh Thomas, Rod Isaac, man, teams really passed on him. But of course, Seattle passed on him more. So, but yeah, 5th round pick. And of course, Richard Sherman was livid. Well, who wouldn't be? So he signed a 4-year deal with the Seahawks in the 2011 season. So he took part in the Seahawks in his rookie campaign. He was actually off the bench. He was the 4th corner on the depth chart behind Marcus Trufant, Brendan Browner, and Walter Furman. After both Trufant and Furman were on the IR for the season, Sherman was the starter and all that. He picked off an Andy Dalton pass. All that. Week 12, he picked off Rex Grossman. He did quite well, in a sense. In 2011, his rookie season, 55 tackles, 14 deflections, 4 interceptions, and a forced fumble with 10 starts. So Sherman did all he could and all that. So then he was the starting cornerback for in the 2012 season. And Sherman taunted Tom Brady after the game, after the Seahawks beat the Pats. He posted a photo of himself yelling at Brady with "You mad, bro?" on his Twitter account. He removed the post, but still, he was known for his mouth and all of that. Richard Sherman was actually facing a suspension for performance enhancing substances, but he went under appeal, and under appeal, he was allowed to play. Anyway, Sherman did win his appeal, so that meant he didn't have to deal with the drug policy and get a 4-game suspension. So the Seahawks in 2013 took second in the NFC West and went to the playoffs. They beat Washington in the wild card round, but then they lose narrowly to the Atlanta Falcons in the divisional round. So the 2013 season would be different. Sherman and Browner would still be back in the defensive backfield for Seattle. Sherman was Week 2 Defensive Player of the Week in the NFL. He made some great moves and all that. He was voted to the Pro Bowl, and in that season he had 48 tackles, 16 deflections, 8 interceptions, and a pick 6 in 16 starts. And the Seahawks had the top-ranked defense by far. 13 wins. They beat New Orleans and San Francisco to get to the Super Bowl. And, of course, everyone knows about Sherman's play against the Niners, especially a deflected pass that was supposed to be for Michael Crabtree in the end zone, but Malcolm Smith caught it, and the Seahawks iced that game. Let's not forget what he said and all that. Well, anyway, Sherman was given an $8,000 fine for taunting towards Kaepernick, but anyway, didn't matter all that. And then when he talked to Aaron Andrews on Fox, he basically said this: "Well, I'm the best corner in the game. When you try me with a starting receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you're going to get. Don't you ever talk about me. Don't you open your mouth about the best. Or you'll know I'm going to shut it for you real quick. LOB." And Aaron says, "Who are you talking about? Crabtree." Anyway, the rant was scrutinized by the fans and media, calling him a thug and all that. It was just terrible and all that. But, Sherman had to do it. But anyway, in Super Bowl 48, in which Seattle crushed the tar out of Denver 43-8, he had 3 tackles and a pass deflection. And he did his job. So Seattle offered him a 4-year, $56 million deal, making him the highest paid corner in league history. And Sherman was selected to be cover athlete for Madden 15. And people were like, "Oh no, the Madden curse." Well, if there was a Madden curse, it was debunked for the 2014 season. Sherman started all 16 games, made 57 tackles, 8 passes defended, and 4 interceptions. A little bit of a downgrade from his 2013 season, but still a great season. After all, Seattle did make the Super Bowl. And Sherman got 3 tackles as the Seahawks did lose to the Pats 20-24. But Sherman actually played with a torn ligament in his left elbow and needed Tommy John surgery, which is weird because that's a baseball term and you're a football player. Anyway, so Sherman was close to being the NFC Defensive Player of the Year, but he wasn't. So anyway, Sherman did his job for Seattle for many years and all that. But by 2016, it was actually revealed that Sherman had a sprained MCL in his right knee that would hamper him. The Seahawks were suspected to have failed to disclose this injury, but no, it was disclosed on time. So anyway, unfortunately for Sherman, he injured 9 games. He had his Achilles problems and all that. Sherman didn't expect to come back to Seattle for the 28th season. And then he was officially released, which was bad for Seattle fans. They didn't want to see him go. But just a day later, Sherman signed a 3-year deal with the division rival San Francisco 49ers. So I don't know what would have happened and all that. Anyway, Sherman was actually ejected against the Bears for throwing punches at both Josh Bellamy and Anthony Miller of the Bears because Niners safety Marcel Harris made a hit on Mitchell Trubisky, the quarterback, and then there was a lot of problems. In 14 games played, Sherman had 37 tackles, a sack, and 4 passes defended. He was elected to the Pro Bowl in the 2019 season with the Niners. Sherman helped the Niners beat Green Bay to get to the Super Bowl against Pat Mahomes in the Tampa Bay in Tampa against Kansas City Chiefs. He wanted his second trophy, but it failed as the Niners blew a fourth quarter lead and the Chiefs won that one. He was not too happy with himself. He was put on IR to start the 2020 season, but then activated November 28th. And then Sherman signed with Tampa for a one-year deal in 2021 with $2.25 million. But he had injuries. He's still technically a free agent. I don't know why they call him a free agent. Oh, yeah. So now Sherman's now pregame and postgame analyst for Amazon. But he might be back. Who knows? He hasn't officially retired yet. But anyway, yeah. In 143 games with Seattle, San Fran, and even with Tampa, he had 2 sacks in his career. Well, he's a defensive back, but he's 116 passes defended, 37 interceptions, with 3 pick sixes. He's recovered 7 fumbles. Sherman has a girlfriend named Moss, and they have 2 children. So anyway, it's all about the trash talking. Yeah, unfortunately, unspoken personality and his trash talking made him a big target of that. The Crabtree thing. And yeah, he was part of Modern 15 on the cover. And no, he didn't get hurt. He's actually ambassador for the trivia at Fleetwood. And actually, he's interested in cryptocurrency and tech stocks. Okay. So anyway, yeah. He had a lot of personal conduct issues, but who doesn't? So anyway, yeah, it's all about football, and it's all about Richard Sherman, who was pretty good. Pretty good indeed. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond at Do.